So may I first invite Peter to introduce the theme of Spring Term's lecture series. Thank you, Peter.
Good afternoon. We have a phone ringing. So we have set up the lecture series every year with a theme. And so this year we decided to copy a little bit the theme of how we teach, sort of the pedagogy of the school. And in the first semester, the theme was architecture as a verb. And I think it's really important to remember the verb of architecture being, as Francesco says, the action behind it, right? And so we are teaching the undergraduate program really looking at the fundamentals of how to teach architecture. And so the next semester relates more to the MArch program, which is an evolution of what you do after the foundations, which is architecture with agency, right? Architecture with agency means embedding purpose to what we do. So all of you students are designing new projects this semester, or in the MArch program, developing the projects, and you're thinking about form, you're thinking about program, and we are very interested in the agency, which means the purpose behind it. And I think what we're noticing is that the architecture profession is changing, and the agency of architecture is also changing. So I don't think most of you, like in the past, would go directly working in an office, but you have to sort of think about what it means to practice architecture. And the whole panel that we try to invite is have a cross-section of people practicing architecture in different ways. So we have an architect, we have an educationist, and we have a landscape architect, all looking at architecture in different ways. And I think it's when you plan a lecture series, you're looking to bring people at the cutting edge of the profession. So we try to do that, and I'll let Han-Man introduce our speaker. But what we're also trying to do is we realize that you have to design a certain amount of things. And so if you notice, all 6 speakers that we have in our public speakers are female. This is by design. It's something very important for us to realize that the profession, so dominated by male, is also changing, and changing very radically. So we have cutting-edge people who are leading the profession who are female. I think this is really important statement for the school to make, and something that we're very proud of. So I'll let Han-Man to introduce our speaker. Thank you, Han-Man.
Thank you, Peter. Today we are honored to have our first speaker, Jiang Ying from Guangzhou, as the first speaker of this lecture series. So I'm going to just briefly introduce our speaker. Jiang Ying is a principal architect and co-founder of O Office based in Guangzhou. She got her diploma in France, and in 2004, after receiving the President Chirac Scholarship in 2021, all offices are originally rooted practice explore the diversity and hybridity of traditions in the Pearl River Delta, attracting international academic attention. Major recognitions include nomination of a RIBA International Prize 2024, the RIBA International Award of Excellence 2021, ARCASIA Golden Awards 2020 and 22. The Architecture Prize of the First City for Humanity 2020. AR's New into Old 2017, highly recommended. And the BSI Swiss Architectural Award nomination 2016. And today, her lecture will demonstrate how architecture practice reconnects material form and everyday life in China's rapid urbanization through 4 projects and integrated arts and sports center, a high-density art academic with a suspended athletic field, a time-focused church, a retrofit, and outdoor installations that reinterpret local tradition and contemporary art. The tour outlines strategies for reconstructing locality and ensuring buildability, arguing that layered, tactile, and constructible system can translate social life into resilient and habitable form. Without further notes, I think I will, please join me in welcoming Jiang.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here, meet all friends and all of you. 1 second. I'm a bit. Okay, today's topic is about place and construction, which I think will summarize some of our work in, over the past 2 years. And or rather, our office was an architectural practice rooted in South China. I'm from Guangxi, and my partner Jiang Ying grew up in Xinhui, Guangdong. We all have a deep attachment to this land, and that's why we choose to start our practice here. And by here, I mean Lingnan region, central on River Delta. And compared with the West Chinese interior, this region have not been fully absorbed in grand national narrative, and it places greater emphasis on locality, kinship, and everyday life, and retain relatively stable local tradition. And this condition persists from ancient time to probably 1980s. And this old map of Guangzhou, thank you. This is the old map of the Guangzhou on the Qing dynasty. It's hard to imagine that just over 300 years ago, Guangzhou's urban form was so closely integrated with hills and waterways. And this is the image. It's a 2010 satellite view of a River Delta. Dark area indicated the built-up room, for example, urban buildings and roads and facility, infrastructures, and so on. And white light area shows no built room, green space, something like that. It clearly shows urban expansion. And I believe today, and the dark area must be even more denser. And today's Guangzhou often read as a generic city. We all know that. It's read. And this is a term that Ramkulas describe the places who lose historical and regional specific. For us, we are the local people actually, it's really sad that the River Delta become the typical example for this theory, and it provokes the question about urban development and the way we build architecture. And here I would like to introduce the book of Richard Sennett, which who influenced us so much. In his book, Building and Dwelling, he divides the city into two kinds, cité and villa. The two cities are a pair of core concepts for understanding the city, representing the city's experiential spirit and its material entity. And the French pronunciation is cité and villa. Cité is the collection of places and live experience where people have a deeper emotional attachment. It's kind of, for example, a corner coffee's social cycle in a real city, the spontaneous marquee with the network in the old neighborhood, and also this kind of human detailed places of everyday life. Sorry for my English. But at the same time, villa refers to the city's material form and technical structure. For example, the buildings, roads, and infrastructures, and also means the mass planning and zoning. And in other words, I would like to say villa is the side of the city that is built. Ideally, villas should support and resonate with city. But however, in many modern cities, the two are severed. Normally, the grand material blending exists without the spontaneous social life that gives place meaning. While the organically grand neighborhoods often embody strong city quality, despite of lacking formal villa infrastructure. And actually, I think these two concepts can also be applied to the evolution of Chinese city. And in practice, we can often view and observe this, the interaction and the tension between these two forces in urban environment. But what made China different is that its urbanization process have been compressed into an extremely short time with extremely high density. Rapid and heavy amount of construction destroy locality and tradition, isolating building from each other and from environment. And you will see in many places, the more you build, the more you lose the life of the city. And in this context, how could architects respond? Where do we find the place for design? I think each have his own answer or answer differently. But for us, at the beginning of our practice, we mainly focus on very small or tiny project, tiny renovation project. And it continued for around 10 years. It was invaluable for us. That period was really special and invaluable. It brought us into a contact with the most authentic site-based way of a building and allow us to identify, understand, sometimes compact, but also work with the people who play different roles in the whole construction process. Many of our earliest commission came from a small gallery series. The most interesting one was this, 300 square meters space in Venice, where we intervene with a minimal gesture, inserting a series of steel installation between rows and the fragment of the building's layer history. And we call this kind of a design strategy as implantation. And after that series of gallery, we have a chance to work on larger industry heritage project. This is the project on Dapeng in eastern Shenzhen. We develop our renovation strategy implementation and gradually transform an abandoned dyeing factory into an art community and an international high school campus. It becoming an active community, animated by local life. The Lianzhou Photograph Museum, located in a small mountain town in North Guangdong, is one of our meaningful projects. Instead of following the typical white box model for the contemporary art space, the design, we We made the design to allow exhibition to blend into the everyday life of the old town. And this is Duichuan tea melt. We encourage the client. I think this is the most special thing for this project is finally we convince the client to preserve the gentle expand, the local tea cultivation and raw tea production. We think this revival of a local life obviously needs to rebuild the relationship between these organic parts and use this as an opportunity to the spatial reconstruction. This is very quickly feedback, but I would like to share our approach by the following 4 projects in details. The first one is Hongling High School Art and Sports Center. And this is a story how an architecture activate and remade the campus environment. The local site, the site located within the Hongling High School campus, which was built in 2006. At that time, local urban planning focused a lot for efficiency and did not account for a nearly 42 meters topography difference and did not pay attention to the relationship with the natural hill. The campus plan has largely cleared all the natural landform and vegetation. Oh, sorry. One thing I need to explain is about the program. Once a time, we get a very heavy program. And it normally before the building at the same site, if I remember well, is 6,000 square meters. But our program need to increase as a 4-fold times. Normally, nearly 4-fold increase in sports and art studio program area. But at the same time, have to remain the 8 outdoor course. And you see the site. Okay, it doesn't matter. The red line. The site sits between the teaching and administration room to the east and the dormitory and sport to the west, almost cutting the campus into west and east. And here is the existing gymnasium, this site, and the other is the teaching building. Many public space in the campus looks like that. Space without life or any expressive character. We think the singular functional division and the separation kill the vitality of the campus. And that's why we design therefore a design strategy we call new social infrastructure. The design goes directly from the site and its natural context. 3 hill-shaped volumes extend the southern natural mountain and slope northern at roughly 10% gradient. Between these volumes, we create 2 long, gentle, undulating landscape court, each about 30 meters wide to bring different sports function together. And sitting above this continuous landscape are modular 30 by 30 meters chucks boxes that hold rooftop course, studios, and activity rooms. 8 of these modulars step down the slope, forming a kind of a terrace rooftop settlement. Yes, voila, this is the project. A network of roof corridors links the new rooftop settlement to existing teaching building. Interior corridors connect east and west across the larger arena. The building, how to say, the building become a three-dimensional street network, a micro-city. We always call a micro-city within the campus, where students from different groups, from different grades can meet, exchange, and generate some spontaneous activities. This is the building in the day. The student entire day's activity could be organized by this building. And the building in the evening. The building is connected to the various parts of the school. And maybe I have to explain it a little bit. Look, this lamp. Okay. Connected to the dormitory house. The other part connected with the sport field to the teaching house. When reaching the northern part of the building, the roof becomes completely integrated with the campus ground level. And voila, this is the indoor sport hall. This is the interior corridor. I said, did you see that? A small part, the indoor corridor. Sometimes you may just pass by, but you might also be drawn to stop by the dynamic activity. And the interior corridor is relatively functional, independent from all the activity inside. All this corridor zone defined by the hue volume. We call the building, the three building hue volume are open and multifunctional, allowing flexible connection and separation. Look, there are so many different kind of activities. Sometimes they also give a big meeting, or we say gathering people inside. Once again, we see this corridor. The rooftop settlement provided a kind of autonomous thing when students can self-organize and use these settlement spaces in multiple uses. Okay, to the diagram. I think the diagram on the top is more clear that to see how the building connect to the campus at different elevation. There are three kinds of elevation for the connection. And also technically, it's the service function system, but I think it's too technical. And this is the diagram more specifically show how the circulation of 5,000 students, how the circulation of 5,000 students is organized during a very short period, around half hour, every day, such as morning exercise, lunchtime break. And more interesting photo is that this is the photo, the moment we took. The picture is just after the morning exercise when the student returned back to their classroom. But only a few minutes later, look like this. And sometimes we have to admire the school's management and Chinese students' self-disciplined. Structurally and environmentally, these three hue-like volumes buildings play a crucial role. It provides excellent cross-ventilation and very good performance in the hot, humid South climate. And the main halls operate without any conditioning. And in the beginning, the hue light volumes was supposed to be concrete wall structure. And due to the cost problem or consideration, we adapt the design to a normal reinforced concrete structure and lose kind of quality inside this huge volume building. But something I would like to say is about we organize these two very different type of a program, very different. We reorganize this program, sports and arts, which actually require carefully coordination and the combination and precise calculation from various disciplines, no matter about architectural, structural, and also HVAC. We need to all combine it together into this different type of a shape. And this is the photo we took around 8 o'clock in the evening. The Art and Sports Center, it's, as what we expect, it's a composition of open element and multiple scale that together form layers, dynamic as a whole. We hope the building is not only a container of function, but a new social infrastructure that encourages directory, interaction, and daily life as the memory. This is the project we just finished last year, several months ago. And it's nearly the most difficult one for us. Sorry, every time I say most difficult, they are always the most difficult. Technically, it's buildable, but we met so many difficulties because of the economical problem. The budget have to cut nearly one half. And if I remember well, the budget per square meters is around 60,500 INB per square meter, not including the athletic field at the top of the building, because based on the regulation, it's the government's project, and the budget normally calculates based on the square meters. But because we put the athletic field at the top of the building, and we could not calculate the square meters, that's why it could not be paid. It's really give us a difficulty to calculate how we use this money for all these buildings. Okay, it's the general introduction. It's about this school. It's a high school. It's a boarding high school with 24 classes and with around 1,200 students. The school is situated in an old industry room of Luohu district in Shenzhen, and on the side it's on a formal factory surrounded by gated residential area and newly built high rises. And the first time when we arrived at, we are a little bit sad because it's really the old center of Shenzhen, which have around 30 years history, but it lacks a clearly urban context. One thing special of this site is the Wailing Hill to the north, Wailing Hill Park to the north. At the beginning of the design, we consider it to retain some of this factory building and integrated them with our new construction to connect it with the site historic. But it's pity, however, because of the potential pollution on the site, all the factory building have to be demolished, and the land was remediated. The program in this time require a very high ratio, around 3.0. The early layout shows that the site could only fit a track shorter than 200 meters at the ground level, and the remaining space would be extremely tight. To deal with this challenge, we shift. I remember during the meeting inside our studio, we have a really long fighting among me and my partner, because it's a bit risk to lift the whole athletic field at the top of the whole building. We shift from the unusual horizontal layout of teaching and sportive facility to a vertical stacking strategy. We lift an athletic field about 3-story podium containing the classroom and dormitory. This elevating move, the action responds to the Wailing Hill Park to the north, and imagine urban greenery extend into the campus. There was a long story for the presentation, the project to the client. At that moment, they are pretty open to this project, because they would like to link the high school with the Wailing Hill Park with a bridge across the road. If it could be realized, I think we could understand why we really would like to lift the athletic field at the top. And we raising the athletic field not only give the school almost the full site for the sports, but also free up the generous volume for the teaching space below. It's a typical and racial layout for the 3-story teaching blocks and 1 dormitory block are arranged in this symmetry fishbowl layout. It's really a typical and efficiency layout. Together with the north-south Southern Garden, they form a series of vertical campus courtyards. At the beginning, this kind of a series of space, we have a beautiful names, but because now we lack the most high-rise of Wailing High Park, so we almost never mention about that once again. Lifting space into the air and sinking others into the ground are common strategy for the high-density urban site. But at this time, at the art school, we turn this strategy into a way to create different spatial times and to build a clear hierarchy of campus skills. Shenzhen, this is Shenzhen map. Although Shenzhen has grown into a huge metropolis, some trace of a local character fortunately still remain in some certain streets, some natural landscape, and the pocket of everyday life. The continuous hill and green belt between Luohu and Longgang form a major urban ecological system. The red point is outside. You can see this continual green belt among the cities. And this map is, easier see how we think why we think this kind of a major urban ecological system could work for our school. And this become an important geography reference for shaping multiple dimension space in our campus. This is the photo for after the construction. We see the campus internal green system as an intention of this large urban nature. Because of this scale of the whole campus, we hope it can become a spirit resonated space, one that could carry Lingnan's quality with the old Luohu district. The way to realize this spatial vocabulary is through the structure system. There are three parts of this structure. One is the sunken garden, the sunken base, including parking and public facility. It's really on a normal structure system. The second one is the racial middle layer of the teaching and living space. And of course, at the top is the open sky athletic field on the top. Actually, technically, it's not difficult at all. This is not what we think. Before we think it's really difficult and really expensive, but after the work with the structure engineering, we think it's technically it's not so difficult. The difficult thing is the budget. It's how do we realize this with really, really limited budget. And that's why the engineer suggests a kind of system, mix system into this normal structure. And we transform this kind of structure detail into our space. You see these layers, three types of layers. Each layers have its own spatial logic, but at the same time remain physical continued. Yes. The vertical unity and variation together with the chorea at the different elevation and also the interior-exterior spatial layers made the campus experience. We call this sequence of a spatial knot. It's really pressure for this kind of high school. How to explain? I think maybe if you have studied in the high school in China, you will see the student was nearly be close in the school 6 days per week and 24 hours per day. And all their work is to go to the class and go to finish their homework. And each link, each break time calculated by minutes. That's why whenever we have a chance to make the school design, we really want to enrich the space experience for that. And this time, for this stacking strategy, we made a kind of space story we call a sequence of a spatial knot. It can continually activate the movement and the perception. Sometimes both, sometimes you restop, and suddenly you can go to a sudden opening to the rooftop. This is the small plaza in the sunken garden, and also including kind of a temporary activity space on the ground level podium, and the athletic at the top. It's a kind of, sorry for my English, but if you really go inside, you can feel the complexity of the space. And we would like to give the possibility for the student to choose where you go, which kind of a routine you choose. And by this, we would like to break the normal experience of a standard campus and keep this campus life open and with some surprises sometimes, and also it should be perceptible. Okay, one thing I would like to emphasize here is that the elevated in between spaces here among these three layers are particularly important. The 架空层 particularly important. They mediate the structure to solve the size of the structure problem, and also integrated the greenery and created multi-purpose space adapt to this Lingnan climate. Some technical drawings. Once again, for economy reason, we maintain the regular plan structure, but we add, and also the facade, it's really weak. You could not even feel the facade when we go around these buildings. But we add a very special 60-degree ceramic rock folder screen to the teaching facade to increase the vertical surface, texture and the, how to say, the roughness to make you feel the texture of the facade. And also one reason for this facade is for the shadow. We would like to create, anyway, we need to make the facade, but we would like to make the facade at the same time to create kind of a possibility to make people feel a very special experience that you only get from Lingnan region. The sun really going down and keep a long time for nearly half and 1 hour per day. And voila, this is the final overall image. In the city like Shenzhen, when efficiency often demolish traditional spirit space, we hope a building, a public building, even like school, high school, can become kind of a knot that restore civil spirit and public life. The places that might hosting community events, maybe now it's difficult, but at least we leave the possibility for the future. Maybe one day, because of this spectacular space, people would like to gathering together to have a kind of parent-school meeting, kind of a market date, kind of gathering day for the young people or something like that. We would like to create sense that establish a sense of belonging, the space to belonging. Okay, the case 3, too much photo. Okay, the third one, it's a light one, but special one. It's commissioned from a special client who always asks many, many things, but at the same time, they leave big freedom for us. They did not give us a very clear program, not clearly timing, but one thing he asked is to keeping the budget limit. And this is the renovation of replica, how to say replica church. It was originally a full church building in a European town. It's a theme park, typical Chinese way to celebrate the social event. It's kind of a theme park named European Town in Huadu, Guangzhou. Compared with the previous two projects, this theme park town is a more typical example of a replicated spatial product. It's kind of a spatial product. The terms or the space and the form and the content of this town have no relationship with the local culture, local tradition, not at all, with this kind of a specific time and place. And this replica church was built roughly decades ago and can be seen as a westernized local projection. For us, how to resolve the distinction between the image it projects and its construction history become the main problematic for for this project. And also it's kind of this disjunction, it's also become kind of a problematic for our design. We believe, therefore, what this renovation needed is to construct the time, not merely the space. The reconstruction of the church was around 2-3 years ago. At the start of design, we chose the site of a trace of time and history, the peeling face tile and the marks left by the southern climate on the building. You can see that. Gradually open an opportunity for design, and we call this kind of groundwork as a strategy. It took a long time. We check all the choice and take it away, check the possibility. It takes, I don't remember how long, but it really takes a long time. We call this kind of demolition art or making older. Oh, here, it's both an adjective and a verb. So the old church, we think the old church renovation, it's an event about construction of time. The reconstruction of the old church was actually a very deliberate process of deconstruction and reorganization. Finished material were carefully hand-steeped from the building surface, and it also depends a lot the work on site. You cannot draw by hand in the office. You need to be there and work together with the workers and check the result one day and change your decision, change your drawing for the other day. It's really, how to say, it takes time, but we think it's kind of design strategy to prolong the timing, to give us to find the clue of the design. Sometimes it's not clear at the beginning, but once you stay there for a long time or a field of time, you will feel the clue of the design. And the reinforced concrete roof also would places cut and separated. It's a step-by-step. We did not make the decision at the beginning. The first step, we just said, we don't have money. We don't want to make an ugly, modern, faux facade. What can we do? So we take off the faux ceramic type. But after that, we found, the choice was really beautiful. Look, yes, the choice was really beautiful, and it made the image become much more expressive with kind of a feeling of time. And also, the only true thing of this fake project is the stone furniture, the stone windows. It's the true stone. But the ceramic facade, it's just, it's the faux one. That's why once we take off the faux one and we see the choice of the concrete looks really, you feel the timing, and together with this, the windows. And then we found it, if we really want to become an independent element of the architecture, the roof, it's not correct, but because the roof indicated some kind of interior. But we don't want it to become a kind of an interior. It should be kind of an independent element to indicate the timing. That's why we decided to take it off. And look at this these windows. After we take the deconstruction process, the hidden groove become more and more visible. And then we design a new craft we call raw iron window frame. It's clear that very lined one, that's the new one. Why we made this? Just to make the original stone window opening become more expressive. Of course, there are some kind of internal discussion, which part we should touch, where we can make the design. It's always the discussion between the real one and the full ones. It's sorry, I try to make me clear. In this kind of design, the critical thinking sometimes it's more important than the action you take. Yeah. The screen, after the interior decoration was split off, it's rough at the beginning, but this time, fortunately, we have a really nice or cultivate client. He also appreciates this kind of a rough feeling of the building. Okay, this is another detail layers. In order to establish the spiritual connection between the deconstructed site and the element of the nature, including the sky, the earth, we inserted a multiple layer steel and timber cross frame into the open roof structure. It can shape the high-angle subtropical sunlight within the open realm. Once again, it's a story about the shadow. And this kind of model light and shadow express Lingnan, kind of changefulness and vitality. Sorry, I think the photo is even expressive than my explaining. Of course, functional. There are so many, behind this photo, there are so many meeting or presentation with the client. They doubt if we take over the roof and install, have this kind of a new installation, what kind of a definition of the space, what kind of the definition of the function for the future, something like that. But finally, once it was built, and I think it's really clear that it's how to say, I will try to explain. Actually, we think this is kind of a westernized ruin. It's not from China. It's westernized ruin space, and we would like to localize and Lingnanize, and to enter some scenario where multiple and cultural layers intertwine. After this day construction, the building presents a more essential state. All this concrete, it becomes the more essential state and rooted in the land with the trees, with the environment. It's also a little bit pitied that it was a lot of trees around this site, but after the new landscape project, they moved half of them away, and it destroyed a little bit the life of this building. The concrete always work well with all these old trees, the typical trees in Lingnan, Rongshu, but it take it away half and then. And we also collected the waste material from the day construction, stack and scratch it then to build the surrounding. We called it the ruin garden. And that just, we want to be truly revitalizing the old material. This is some photo of the construction. It's in the electoral salon, and also some New Year's choir, residential classical music concert, and some commercial activity, the outdoor gathering by the young people. And I put this picture here. It's not, I don't want to express how activity the building it is. What I want to say is I think the waste, the old church present kind of unfinished condition. And this kind of unfinished system, or rather we can say it's preserve a degree of openness in future use, and it's the open space for the future use. Different group of people, different needs can be grown here, and I don't know what kind of vocabulary to describe this incomplete. Maybe we can call it plant space. Anyway, it's really the key element to shaping the place here. Okay, the last project, final project, and this time I would like to introduce the one a bit far away from architecture. This is an exhibition we take part in last year, and this is the exhibition was co-curated by Professor Zhang Yonghe and Emily Brouwer, and the title is Monumentality of One, Geometric Giacometti in Langtou. The monumentality suggests a kind of classicism. The Giacometti's thin, tall figure are the vertical monumentality, and the horizontal monumentality is Langtou village. You can see the original one, like this, not only reflect the traditional house by house, the characteristic of the traditional house, house by house, but also present Langtou's stable, horizontally extended social structure over the past 700 years. Professor Zhang wants to also bring this exhibition outdoor beyond the museum Chunyangtai. It's designed by Professor Zhang. He invited us to make a series of rooftop installation. This mission, we really feel like this mission is kind of it's like a kind of essay question from Professor Zhang. He helped us to break free from the conventional requirement and constraint and encourage us to kind of a pure thinking. Out of our geographic and cultural attachment to the place and our concern about the current urbanization model, our architectural design begins with searching for the lost history. We believe architecture is built on history, or rather, architecture itself should be a piece of the historic. In this sense, our Langtou landscape series installation seek to reinvest the village and its feel with a temporary kind of commemoration as the village's old monumentality gradually fade. The concept for this installation is based on our observing the coincidental events between contemporary art and Langtou's locality, and we try to construct new landscape fragments from that encounter. The first step is we divided the installation into 6 pieces and gradually lift the indoor exhibition first to the rooftop and then go to the village and its field. The classical monument transformed into a landscape, shifting from abstraction to the village's everydayness. And this is some detail drawings. All these linear cast iron elements that form the new landscape object are anchored into the site by precast concrete monument. Actually, after several times of discussion with Professor Zhang, also Emily, the concept is easily to figure out, easier than architecture, but the problem is how we build it. And we could not touch the site, and also to keep the spirit of Giacometti's sculpture. We really take some time to make the research about his sculpture, but the more we found, the more it becomes difficult. And voila. The main body of this new landscape object are abstract, flattened sculptured. Something really funny or interesting is that during this fabrication, we reduce or we abstract the details to simplify the production. But the more we make it, the more we lose the spirit. So we need to keep this the balance. But you will find actually this kind of extremely thin, extremely elongated form undermine the material. Immediately, the material's solidity and the permanence. Once we realize that kind of a shape, the certain fragility is easily to express. So that means the vocabulary of this shape has its own power. Sometimes what we need to do just to realize this, of course, just because Giacometti's sculpture is already there, what we did is just to realize it in some kind of another version. But even with this kind of a mission, we found it's really difficult for the making. And once again, it's another long story. The selection of the material, also the adjustment of all these kind of craftsmanship takes long time. And but anyway, making always make a difference. If you go further, the material will give you answer further. And we compare with the difference between amongst many materials, and each time you will get some advantage, but some weakness. Advantages, some weakness. Also need to find the proper craftsmanship. This is the schematic design. It looks simple, but actually, we will understand why Giacometti's insistence to the sculpture plinth. Once we do this, we understand why Giacometti always insistence for the basement of the sculpture. Okay, this is some photos. Giacometti is in the village. In the village, also. Very interesting, this photo we find in the internet. That's not what we took. This juxtaposition and dialogue and fiction of the art and village everydayness, it's we did not expect before. We hope this will generate more public participation and discussion. Yes. I download some visitors' photo from Xiaohongshu. Actually, there are many more. If you find this, and you can find many more. And some of them are more imaginative than our own photos. It's a multi-agent narrative generation from the visitors, the photographers, from the villagers, also from the designers. And I think all these contests together to form a new public discourse. And for me, it's the best encouragement. Thank you. This is my lecture to date.
Thank you for sharing the amazing project and work, and thank you for your inspiring talk. Yeah, I think we had a long connection and friendship with the old office. I still remember 10 years ago, right? So we brought students to visit the old office. I think you already moved, right, to a new one. So that was a renovation from old factory. So, and another very experimental project in Vanker laboratory, right? So we were all impressed by that two work, but after 10 years, right? At that time, it is you are already you were still a young office, right? But today, I think we see more wide spectrum of work and really impressive. So I think maybe I will ask the question first, and then you brought up a notion in your presentations that lean and nice, right? So I think that's a very new concept to me. Can you probably elaborate a little bit about that concept, lean and nice, and how it was implemented or developed in your project?
As what I introduced, we are local people. Together with Jiang, we are local people. We have really deep attachment to this land. And Lingnan, for us, it's special because it's relatively independent from the grand national narrative, but not now, but traditionally. And it has so many things looks different. If you go to Beijing and you feel immediately different. And this is culturally, and also for the everydayness is also different. But for architects, we need to transform all these cultural and everydayness things into the physical shape, if you want to realize something. That's why we always find kind of a media to transform it. Sometimes it could be a shadow. Sometimes it could be the way we deal with the space. Sometimes it could be kind of a material. But lignanize, for us, it's not only the purpose, but it's the way we make our design. And if you, actually we never talk about nice during our design. If you respond honestly to the program, to the site, to the people here, it's already nice. I don't think it's
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I was so impressed with how you respond to the extreme urban, most difficult urban conditions, I assume, you put it, right? So, and also how you work with the workers to develop a design for the church. Yeah, I think they're all interesting. I think now I'm probably give the mic to the floor. Whether you have any questions, feel free to raise up your hands.
Yeah, thank you, Jiang Ying. A wonderful lecture, and also many new inspiration in my mind. I ask one question for CHK students because I think this lecture is really on time. Sunday and Saturday we will visit 6 Shenzhen schools, studio students and also elective course students, and even some teachers will participate the journey. And also we will visit your high school sport and art center, and also one of your early primary school, experimental school. And also I want to ask one question. When students arrive there, what kind of thing they should pay a little bit more attention other than their personal experience?
Don't take the photo. First of all, don't take the photo. Try to feel the space. I know it's not easy actually, because we are all learn by the phone when we were students, and also for the presentation to your teacher, you need to draw these physical things. But based on my opinion, step by step, when we work for the construction for a long time, you will see the appearance of the building. Sometimes it's not, it's not stable. It could be killed by so many things. It's something you could not put it in your hand. It depends on so many things. The first thing we do is to provide the concept, and later the appearance of the building depends on the construction, depends on the budget, depends on the users, the way of the user, so many things. The only thing we can do is the spatial narrative. Sometimes that's why we always want to do something more than the program. Normally, the program we get, it's about the function. It's about the purpose of the building. But you will see, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe some days I change through new things, I learning new things, but for the moment, I believe being architect, some days we really need to find or work with kind of the things really could be controlled by yourself. If you visit the building, the best way is you work around, just work around. And with different time, for example, when the student inside the class, when the student go outside, to feel to really go inside the space, yeah. And sometimes, normally when we visit the building, when we arrive, we get the first image. But this kind of strong things will destroy your internal feeling of the space. But of course, this is a normal way. But I think being a student or professionalist, your eyes can pass over the first step. Yes. Sorry, I try to make me clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. I'm a master's student, and I'm really impressed by your various projects. They're like vibrant, dynamic, but humane and down to earth at the same time. And we're working on a studio about the neighborhood, and we're wondering how you study the everyday life from before the schematic design, how you observe the traces of everyday life, and how you talk to the people, like the school project. Would you like to have a conversation with the teacher and students before you came up with a entire scheme of a design? Thank you.
Normally we did this after to check. But if you design based on that, they might have some risk. Normally, what they tell you, it's just their purpose, not the true one. So you have to analyze yourself. You have to make decision yourself, not based on this questioning. And there are so many possibilities. It depends on what kind of a project, what kind of site, what kind of situation we have. But for the particularly for the school project, it's easier to understand the everydayness. There are so many students, and something are always visible. The things invisible is the things that you really need to spend the time there, over there. And of course, the another part is what's your understanding, what's your philosophy for this kind of mission. Normally, the creation or the concept came from the redefinition of the function, or comes from the redefinition of the space. And during this period, it's very normal that you doubt yourself, you question yourself. It's normal step. Moreover, I think it's not normal. You have to. If you one thing very, very sure, maybe there are some risks after. And normally, one thing we doubt at beginning of the design, maybe it's an opportunity to do something brand new.
Hi, thank you for the lecture, and it's really, really impressive work. I mean, as you mentioned a lot of times in your presentation, difficult, and everything is difficult. And because for those of us who work for school projects in China or in Hong Kong, we know how difficult it is with the budget, with the size. I mean, as you have to maximize basically making the brief that is kind of impossible to be possible. And at the same time, because of the complexity of a project, that it becomes the beauty of the project because you solved the puzzle. But what I'm trying to ask is that, because very interestingly, on Sunday, I visited your unfinished hall, the chapel. I was with a group of architects. We were like 10 people. We arrived there, no idea that something like that was there. That really elevated our whole experience of a one-day architecture trip in Guangzhou. And it spiked a lot of interesting conversation. And one thing that we were asking ourselves was that, I mean, I would pose that question to you. China has been developed a lot in past 2 decades, 3 decades, very rapidly in cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Shanghai. And for the new generation of architects like you have been making the absurd European town into a place that belongs to people, and to really rethink about what what the new generation of Chinese architects should do in China today. So because we are in school today, I would like to hear from you, what would be your advice to the new generation here? That we kind of missed, they definitely missed the very fast engine of development. There would be less to do, but it seems like there would be more meaningful things to do. And what would be your advice to them when building in cities like Shenzhen and Guangzhou, that many things have been built, but how to make purpose of it?
Wow. Actually, in our office, there are so many young architects and young generation from different universities. And we found they are the generation really different from us, that met so many information when they are still young, and they get a very strong feedback in a very short time. That's what we did not have when we were young. And that's why I always try to give the answer to the young people. I think that are facing the question much more difficult than us. When we were young, we have time to make mistake. But now, with the development of AI, with development of this, all this political issue, everything become really, really fast. It can be different only after 1 year or several months. And the technical issue really become much, much more stronger than when we were young. So even for myself, I have the question, where we can find the space for design? What is the future for architecture? That's why I don't think I can give a proper suggestion for the youngs. But only one thing positive for them is what I said, making always make a difference. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to do, maybe you just to do it first. Take a minor step by step, and you will see, you will find, you will get the answer. Different, each answer differently. One thing positive now, much better than our period, than our days, is the individual gets more freedom because of the AI support, because of so many things. You can be relatively independent from the others. When we are young, we really need to coordinate with a partner. We really need to work in a group. But now, with all this IT or high technical support, individual person become more and more powerful. That's why I think you can have a chance to do something really doesn't exist before. This is what my suggestion. This is my suggestion. Yes.
Oh, hello. I really like your presentation about the old chapel, and it happens to be one of my reference case in my studio design about deconstruction. And one question I would like to ask is about the process. Is this final gesture of leaving the chapel incomplete, imperfect, and adding those structure on site? Is it a design from the very beginning, or is it a discovery that you found this opportunity during the demolish process?
Of course, we have a master plan for to complete the design concept. Everything you did costs money. In architecture career, you could not say, oh, I did not, I don't have a conclusion for the moment. We just try. No, no, no. That's maybe for the personal development, you can take this method, but for the construction, everything should be clear before the construction. You should provide construction drawing with a clear budget. Otherwise, it's not. This is the responsibility for the profession. What I say, the decision made on the side, it's the, how to say, it's the, you can say shop drawing. It's not the construction drawing. Everything should be clear on the drawing. Otherwise, you could not finish your drawing. This is one thing. The other thing is, of course, during the whole process, you should be free. I mean, even the construction drawing have been delivery, the budget have been calculated, but normally, especially for this kind of a renovation project, things always change. Always new situation coming, and you need to deal with that. And in this situation, the thinking, making, the circle of this kind of working method should be kind of a crucial things. Otherwise, in one word, with the same construction drawing, could be realized in different results. All depends on the construction. All depends on what you deal with the question during the construction.
Hi, I know we're out of time. This is a response, following up with your response to Elva's questions about AI and about this ideas of fastness, of this sort of speed in China right now. But I can see that in your projects, there's this really amazing concepts of constructing time, dealing with the ruined, dealing with fragments, and dealing with what exists. It seems to me that you are also responding, I don't know if that's a conscious or you have kind of reflected on that evolution of your, this dealing with these sort of ephemeral elements that seems to suggest a contrary or a counter way of thinking about speed and about this sort of kind of technological-centric ways of dealing with things. But you are actually seems to suggest your projects, especially the recent one, is suggesting this sort of different ways of world making based on a different sensibility to the world, to traditions. You didn't really articulate that elaborately, but this lignanization, reinterpreting traditions is incredibly rich. That is also beyond, nowadays there are many other projects that are taking traditions and
you
know,
summarize even better than me.
No. I mean, because there are so many projects taking it more literally and do not do it very well. But your projects really suggest a very deep sensibility and dealing with these, not in an abstract sense, but in a very deeper felt with an effective quality. I'm very impressed. And I know this can be a very long discussions, but I was wondering about your own development of this sort of, whether you have thought about it. This is the kind of a new sensibility we require for the future in caring about traditions and caring about the past in a deeper way, not in a literal way. Maybe just a very short response.
No. Actually, for this talk, because of my terrible English vocabulary, what can I do just make me clear, but I think I have already lost so many details. And in order to better answer your question, can you simplify your question? Otherwise, I'm afraid of I go to the wrong way to. So
I'm just saying that because it's just really, it really strikes me that your project is like really suggests a new sensibility of caring about traditions in the past. So I'm just saying that this is really, really important. And how did you come to this point? Like, because that is also importantly, seems like something very, very urgent for the contemporary way of building the world, building an environment.
Actually, thank you for this question. It's really, really, really the first, our interest, our purpose at the beginning of our practice. Before our independent practice, me and Xiang were all together work for a huge project with around 300,000 square meters construction, design and construction within 1 year. And this project demolished the whole town in 1 month or several weeks. If you are there, you will find so sad, so sad. The things you think is pressure, the thing you think is so important for our life disappear in such a short time. And also, this is why we would like to practice ourselves. We would like to say no to this kind of construction. I know this is a bit, I don't want to speak our story in this kind of, with this kind of emotional way, but that's true. Of course, at that moment, we could not get many commercial projects. We don't have a public project, but it's condition, but also this is what we choose to work with those old buildings, the renovation project. It's really the internal from person. We would like to keep some choice of the history, keep some choice from our city, keep the choice of the peoples. It should be respect. It's not something could be destroyed so quickly, so roughly. And of course, during the renovation project, we step by step, we develop our design philosophy. It's normal. When you practice, you really need to believe something. And because of the renovation project, normally it's the project with so many details, needs so many efforts, so many energies. And that's why we need to answer the question why we think the renovation is so important. And this kind of problematic was developed or was continued for a long time. And you will see if you really do some, if you really work with all these old things, step by step, you will find the pressure things. You will feel comfortable with all this choice from the history. You will feel, I do something right. It's, I think it's too many emotional. I could not give you rational reason because, why? Because, but this is the journey we have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We are running out of the time. So thank you again for all your question and your sharing. Thank you.